Okay, good. Is yours on? Perfect. On. And on. Did you notice I'm wearing your shirt?
I noticed that.
Welcome back, everybody, to Shop Talk. I'm Josh. Some of you will know this guy because I've showed his artwork on my channel, but this is Trevor, Stickman. How do you introduce yourself? Probably Trevor, because that's your name?
Yeah, usually.
But Stickman sounds super cool.
Yeah, but my last name's Stickle, so it was derived from that, obviously. So, yeah, a lot of people call me. A lot of people just call me Stick. So,
okay, yeah, a casual nickname for your nickname.
Yeah, that's
it. I think that your name being Stickman is. I actually messaged you one day saying this because I was just, I don't know, I was thinking about something, and then I was like, wait a minute, I had an epiphany. I was like, because your art is like pretty realistic.
Yes.
And like people probably always tell you because they always tell
everyone.
everyone.
Even draw a stick, man.
Yeah, and then if
that's
you name yourself
a big part of it. Yeah,
it's like a, what do you call that? Juxtaposition. I like that. It's freaking perfect.
Yeah.
So guys, this is Trevor. He is a professional artist, one of my favorites, and if you want to check out his work, there's a link in the description to his website as well as to his Instagram. And sometimes you share candid photos and stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, not as much as I should. Yeah, we actually talk about that quite a bit. You know, I kind of stick to art for the good or bad. It probably hinders me a little bit. I probably should be doing a little bit more personal stuff, but we'll get there. I've never been comfortable with oversharing on social media, but
that makes sense.
You know, when you do post that stuff, it's so frustrating. It gets more traction. You know, guys like you and me will spend hours and hours in front of a painting, and it'll get a certain degree of, you know, traction on social media, and then you'll post stupid that your dog's doing, and it'll blow it out of the like anything. It'll just blow it out of the water. So.
Like, I don't know with you, but you're probably critical of your own. If there's a painting that you're especially happy with, and then it just gets like, people just go, like, but this is the one that I like.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, I was, so I've always felt that, and it was always a very strange thing, but it kind of validated it when I first met Mike and Nick. One of the things that, and you know, Nick being my publisher, one of the first things he told me was, you know, even him and Goddard at this time have no idea what hits. You know, they'll paint something and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then it'll be like, meh. And they'll paint something that they're like, geez, I don't even know if we should go forward with this one or whatever. And it'll blow out of the water. And they've been doing a lot longer than us. So,
your publisher is also an artist?
No. So Goddard is part ownership of the publishing company.
Right.
So there's a gentleman by the name of Nick who is kind of the businessman behind it.
Okay.
So he's got a few artists in the stable.
Okay.
And he kind of looks after the business end and kind of leaves the painting up to the artists.
Okay. Yeah. Would it be cool if he was, or is it better that he's not an artist? I don't know. I think I like artists, so I'm just
you know, I think to a degree, an artist has to remove himself from it a little bit. Being an artist and a businessman are two very different things.
Oh,
so,
yeah, word, yeah.
You know, I've got a certain degree of business acumen myself, but even there, being separated from it, right? Because you're so attached to art, it's so emotional to you that to have someone else kind of do that, it works in your favor. I mean, Goddard created an empire. He's a very, very intelligent guy, but he keeps Nick around for a lot of obvious reasons. You know, Nick's really good at what he does, and sometimes we need someone to reel us in a little bit.
So if you
leave artists to their own accord, it might get a little crazy. So you need someone to reel you in a little bit.
Sure, yeah. If you guys don't know who Goddard is, you just look him up, and then you'll be like, oh, that guy, the olive guy. He's also one of my favorite artists. And you guys have collabed a couple times?
Just
once, the Einstein one?
Yeah, we did one. Okay. One that's in the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have some other?
We maybe did one that hasn't been released. Yeah.
Will it be, or
I don't know.
One of those?
I don't know. It was one of those ones that might not see the light of day, but
that's too bad.
Yeah.
I like when I go to the gallery in Western Mall Sterling there. I like going in there and seeing when you have a new piece, when he has a new piece. Well, any artist has a new piece that I'm a fan of. I'm always going to wonder now, is this the one? If it's a collab.
What?
So
you text me on the side. I'll let you know.
Okay. So the Einstein one that you've done and your Johnny Cash one are my two favorite ones. I paint Einstein a lot.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people just like it when I do it. Whatever.
Yeah. And it's a little different for me, but we wanted to find kind of a common ground for me and Goddard.
Yeah.
And so, doing too much of a on the rock star stuff or music side would be leaning my way a little bit. And
yeah, but it's badass. They're all good.
Yeah. But that one kind of met in the middle. So it kind of worked. It's by far my best-selling piece. So
is it?
Oh yeah,
it's sick.
Yeah, it's
my best-selling piece is also Einstein.
Yeah,
I also really love your.
I cheated though. I got Goddard on mine.
Sure,
that's totally cheating.
Yeah, but that's cool. I noticed that on that one. I haven't seen your little devil guy, your little stickman in it.
No, so there's a reason for that.
For those of you who don't know, I'm going to say all of your work that I've seen, except for a few, have your little stickman logo guy.
Yeah, so we kind of hide a couple things in every painting.
Devil inside.
Yeah, there has the words or the term devil inside, sometimes different languages and stuff like that. That's a kind of a long story where that came from. But basically it has to do with, a Jekyll and Hyde, two sides of the coin type of thing.
Sure.
And then we also always hide kind of like that stickman symbol, kind of like the old Playboy covers that always had a hidden Playboy. So we do that. It's not always hidden. Sometimes it's very upfront, but sometimes it's hidden. There are a few that you won't find it. There's a couple that I just forgot.
Oh.
And I think there's one or two that I did a correction or I painted over and I forgot to re-add it. And that's kind of what happened with the Einstein we didn't know which way Goddard wanted to go with it. So I just painted it as a full painting. Yeah. And then he kind of took out what he needed to do. So in that, that's where the stickman had.
Okay. Because every time I see one of your new works, I'm always looking for them.
That's the idea.
So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So now the people who bought that one, they're gonna have to bring it to one of your shows so that you can.
Yeah, I'll put a stickman in there somewhere.
Embellish it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I normally do with these shop talks for my Patreon audience, I get them to ask questions, and if there's any questions that you want to skip, we'll just skip them. Here we have a few. So if you're from my Patreon, you knew that he was coming on. I asked you so long ago. So these are, some people may have forgotten all about this, but these are the questions from them. So thank you. First question is, which by the way, I don't know what any of these questions are. So how did you meet Josh? And if I may ask, what do you think of his finger paintings? Oh, that's a nice question. Be honest. I
wouldn't be here if I wasn't a fan.
Oh, thank you.
I met Josh. Geez, you must have been young because it was probably. I mean, you're still young.
It was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, you met him at an art show.
Yeah, dude, you made my day because I walked in, and you were kind of walking towards the front, and you're like, "You must be the finger painter," and I was like, "You know who I am? What the hell?"
Yeah, I was following you already.
Yeah,
so I was happy to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like all those, and same with Goddard. Like he meets how many people, right? And then he always says hi to me. So do you.
Yeah.
Like it makes my day every time because like as a young artist at the time, I guess I still am, but at the time I would like, probably it's true still, but at the time especially, you kind of lack the confidence in your own work sometimes where you need to like, what's the word? Like, it's not that you need to, but you feel like you should like let someone find it by accident instead of be like, hey, look at my work too. Yeah. And then because I never showed it to you.
Yeah.
And you saying.
Yeah, there's some validation that someone started following you without you
Right.
introducing yourself, and it was like
Someone who
obligatory or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, kind of as an organic thing. Yeah, I still get that.
I was super
I still get
stoked.
flattered.
Good. Good. I mean, I'm a fan of so many artists. So if I meet them, depending on what their style is, like we paint kind of the same genre. A lot of the things that I paint are like pop culture icons and whatever, and you paint a lot of rock stars. You actually have the 3 different main series, right?
So I do like a rock star series, which is mostly figurative rock star stuff, like very much like what Josh does. I do a rogue series. Sorry, I do a rebel series, which is also icons that kind of have a rock vibe. So there's certain characters
They're
that
kind of like badass.
Yeah, there's kind of like, there's certain actors and certain people in history that are just kind of like, in almost every genre, you can find that kind of was like very rock and roll. Even journalism, you got someone like, Hunter S. Thompson, right? He's just like,
Right. Are you?
He's a rock star.
Are you going to paint him?
Yeah, absolutely. He's on my list.
That makes sense.
I used to call it my whiteboard because I used to have a whiteboard in my studio. So I still call it the whiteboard, even though it's digital now. But my digital whiteboard has him on there. But it's the problem with a piece when it gets on that whiteboard is things start leapfrogging it. It just becomes a bit of a mess. So he's been on it for a while. The concept has changed a couple of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely fits in that rebel sort of portfolio. So guys like that. Sometimes boxers, because boxers were the original rock stars. I wouldn't say original rock stars, but they lived that rock star, like that bigger than life, like the Ali's back in the 60s and stuff. You've seen the fur coats, the limos.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like about painting rock is obviously the music, but it's also the decadence around it. You notice I always lean towards like Motley and Zeppelin and these guys that really live that rock and roll life. I'm drawn to that decadence. It's a little bit of chaos that I like. That's just where I go. I often joke to people that I'm a wildlife painter, right? And they all assume that I'm painting bears, but I'm actually talking about Tommy Lee.
Would you ever paint a bear?
No.
No.
There was a time where I would have painted, if you had a couple bucks in your hand, all of us, every artist, you have a couple bucks in your hand, I'll paint whatever you want.
Yeah.
Lucky enough, I'm at a stage now where I get to say no.
Yeah.
And it's the most freeing feeling ever.
Yeah.
Being able to.
I imagine. Going down this tangent here, now I forget what my point was before, but
but with the third portfolio, is rogues. So the rogue portfolio, we kind of tagline it rebels, rock stars, and rogues, or rock stars, rebels, and rogues. The rogues is a different way of looking at musically inspired paintings, but isn't a figurative of an actual rock star. So this is actually probably in the last couple of years been my favorite portfolio. It gives me a lot of creative freedom. Like you could just take a song lyric, pretty much anything you feel. So it allows me to expand a little bit off figurative. I've done true pop art. I've done florals. I've done still lifes. And I'm really enjoying that end of it. But there's always a tie-in with that back into music in some way, shape, or form. So those are the 3 that we kind of.
Well, they're all good. I just remember I have another favorite of yours, and that's the last show of yours that I went to. I missed your last one because of my stupid head, but show before at the old gallery, you unveiled the Charlie Chaplin piece.
Yeah.
I thought that piece was badass. So I would like that one as well someday.
Yeah, he kind of fit into that Rebels thing. At first glance, if you look at Charlie Chaplin, you would not think that he did, but if you even read 10 seconds in Wikipedia, you'd be like, this dude was a bit of a rebel. So without getting too much into the Charlie Chaplin controversies and stuff, but bit of a rebel.
Yeah. Now I had another point that I was trying to make, but I forget what it is. So we'll move on to the next question. This one comes from Martha. The last question, by the way, was from Susan. So this one's from Martha. She says, Trevor, hello from Texas. Thank you for doing the shop talk. Your art is awesome. Have you ever been to Texas?
I'm going to Texas tomorrow.
Oh.
So I was in Dallas 2 weeks ago. I was in Houston 2 months ago. And I leave for Dallas tomorrow morning.
Well, there you go. She also asked, when did you start painting and what is your favorite medium?
I started painting or art, two different things. So painting, I'd say I started around 18, 19. I was drawing portraits, like pencil portraits in high school just for like keep my belly full of beer, like just beer money, stuff like that. And then once I hit about 18, my friends started buying motorbikes. Goaltender friends of mine could finally afford stuff. So, I got a lot of pressure to pick up an airbrush at the time. So my first, I would say 4 or 5 years of painting, I was just doing like Harleys and helmets and goal masks, whatever.
And you played hockey, right?
Yeah, I did. I definitely wasn't as good as the art part. I'll say that. Okay. and that's not bragging about the art at all. That's just actually being self-deprecating on the hockey.
Sure.
But yeah, so I was doing all this stuff, and I used to take my artwork to Cougar Collision, and they became pretty good friends of mine. Those guys over there are amazing, and it was actually Graham who actually said, "Have you ever thought about putting this stuff on canvas?" And so I thought that might be a good idea. So I did my first painting on canvas, and I fell in love because it was white and it was flat.
Oh yeah,
right.
Okay.
I didn't have to worry about paint sticking. Right. Anybody who's ever done auto body and that type of stuff knows you have some problems with. You have to wet sand. You got to do some stuff, and everything had to be clear coated after. So I did a series of about 14 paintings, I believe it was. I did my first show. It's Suede Lounge in Edmonton. Some of my friends own that lounge. So we did my first show there. And I think I made more money that night than I had in like 4 years of painting Harleys and stuff. So from that night, I've never touched another one.
Would you? Maybe your own?
Yeah, I would. I would recently. It would take a little bit. Yeah. So part of the thing is right now that when you paint what I paint, you get some residual passive income because they do reproductions and stuff like that. So when you do a one-off, you put a lot of hours into that,
right? And it's just one, so
the price has to reflect that,
right? Absolutely.
So it'd be somebody that'd be willing to pay.
Yeah.
So that sounds a little greedy, but. Without trying to be, we it's how we make our living.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, so,
yeah, and yeah, exactly. Yeah. She continues here. Who has been your favorite subject? Kind of answered that. She says you have cool branding, which is absolutely true.
I appreciate that.
It's wicked. And she asked, how did you come up with your branding? I guess with your name.
The name was the first thing. And then years ago, I started my first website, and I hired a web designer, and he actually came up with the Stickman logo, but without the devil horns. So he kind of did that, and I immediately got a hold of him. I said, I need to legally purchase this design off you because I'm stealing this.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually come up with that. I did add devil horns on it, just to some synergy with that devil inside thing. But he came up with the original design. And yeah, it was a godsend. We love that. But the current word mark and all the branding you've seen in the last 5 years is attributed to the lady sitting to my right here, who I'm lucky enough that my partner's a marketing communications person, so she's really good at that stuff. So she did the new website. It's amazing. She tries to get into my social media a little bit, but I restrict her a little bit. If I probably handed it off to her, I'd probably be in better hands, but we're getting there.
Okay.
Thank you for the branding thing. That actually means as much to me as the art, because a lot of thought goes into that stuff, and sometimes people don't realize that. So I appreciate that.
Well, it's definitely cool. I remember when I first saw you, I would have been at the Additions Gallery, and I was like, dude, this guy is so cool. Because of the
fooled you.
I was like, his name is Stickman. Are you kidding me? I don't know. There's like a few people where they have like a name that's like a made up name where you're just like,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But like for you, like it totally goes.
Yeah. Well, you could thank hockey culture a little bit for that too. I mean, it was definitely derived because of the I can't even draw Stickman, but when you play hockey, right, you're always sticky, Stickman,
Yep.
you know, as it goes on. So, you know, it's a little bit more than, I guess, being called sticky would have been a little bit weird, like most hockey nicknames. But yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Okay. Speaking of hockey, would you paint a hockey player at all?
I have in the past.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Like
just original. The problem when you paint sports is with a lot of what I do, there's a lot of copyright.
Yeah, with their logos and stuff.
Yeah, so there's already a lot of copyright stuff that we have to negotiate when I paint rock stars and stuff like that. Certain permissions and stuff we have to get. There's another level when you do athletes. So obviously you have the league, you got the team logo, you got the league. That makes it tough. Also, free agency killed the art game.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think, I don't know if this is true, but you know, there was a rumor that like Stephen Holland, who's one of my favorite artists, had just painted LeBron in Cleveland. And then, you know, he goes to Miami and, you know, you can't sell a thing, right? I mean, lucky for him, he went back to there, but, you know, you paint a Brett Favre and then it leaves Green Bay and goes to, you know, Minnesota, which is their like division rivals. You're not going to sell a Brett Favre in Green Bay anymore in a Green Bay jersey. So the athletes themselves make it tough. Yeah. Right. Unless you find someone that's locked in forever or a retired player, right? You know, a Steve Yzerman in a Red Wings jersey. But yeah, free agency makes that tough and copyright makes it tougher.
Her last question here is, do you have the name of your painting in mind before you paint it, or does it come to you after it's done? Because you have like elaborate titles. Yeah. So like a lot of them are lyrics.
Most of them are lyrics. So it's a little bit of both. Sometimes the painting will come first, and then I'm like, I need to find the lyric is, and the reason why I use lyrics is I feel a vibe with the painting I'm doing. Now that doesn't mean I like the painting. It just means that when I'm painting something, I got a certain energy, or I guess vibe is the best way I could describe it, that I hope, and I realize that it's a useless hope because you can't control it, is that when someone looks at this, they get that feeling. By putting that lyric of the song of what you're painting, I think helps bridge that gap. Right. Yeah. So, you know, right away, that's like, You know, if I was to paint Ted Nugent with a Stranglehold lyric, you're going to look at that and you feel that really gritty Stranglehold riff.
Yeah. I noticed like some people's art, like I'm not a fan of every piece of art. No one is, but sometimes I'm like, but then sometimes the title makes me go, oh, that's kind of cool.
It helps you, it helps get you there sometimes. Yeah, I hope it helps get you there. That's the idea. I put a lot of thought into the titles and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think I would agree with.
Yeah, I also have another assistant that helps me, and he gets frustrated with the long names because we got to do a bunch of custom stuff because everything goes to the US. Right. The custom paperwork. So sometimes I'll throw down like an 8-word, and he's just. I'll get a quick text. He's like, you couldn't find a shorter lyric. Come on.
It's like, why didn't you just title it Bob Marley?
Right? Exactly.
Barbara here asked, who or what inspired you to become an artist? I guess you kind of answered that, but if you have more to it. So
it's two different things. So I often talk about Motley Crue. Motley Crue kind of changed my life in the early 80s. My brother came home with Shout Out the Devil album and just like changed everything. But that is why I paint what I paint. Oh, okay. Two things happened that made me fall in love with art. And the first one was, I don't know which one came first. So, but the album of Kiss Destroyer. Okay. It's the illustration on that cover was the first time I looked at a piece of art and I wanted to know more what was going on. Okay. Right? And I don't know if you've seen this cover. Weren't even close to being born yet, but it's a very cool illustration. It's done very well. almost like in a Frank Frazetta style. I don't know who this artist is. I wish I did. I'd give him a shout out. But yeah, I looked at that. I remember looking at it for hours. I wanted to know how it was done. And I was very young. I was probably like 7 or 8. I wanted to know how it's done, but I also wanted to know the story behind it, right? And that was the first time a piece of artwork, I was just like, I want to know more.
Right.
And the second thing is what I always say. I was in like grade 3, I think, and this is an old story. So many people have heard it, but it's the truth. But I was in school and I was drawing a dinosaur, and I was really focused. My head was down, and I was drawing a dinosaur on my desk. And apparently, it was better than most grade 3ers, because I looked up and there was a crowd of girls around me. It was the first I saw a crowd of girls, and then it was just like, hey, I'm onto something here. So from there, I never stopped. Like I drew, and I can't remember a time in my life where I wasn't always drawing or painting. I almost always have something on the go. The only time I didn't was last summer. For a few months, I didn't have something on the go, but from grade 3 up till I'm 48 now, just always grinding.
Okay. That's a good answer. So you're self-inspired, you kind of. Well, you're like, man, I'm a good drawer, and these girls like it. Hell yeah.
I was like, I enjoy the attention of this. So, and then you started entering contests and stuff at that young age, right? School contests. And yeah, it was something I was naturally good at. And obviously you can tell by what I paint, I would have loved to pick up an instrument at an early age.
Can you play anything?
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't play a lick. At about 18, I thought about it. Because at 18, maybe late 17, you realize the hockey career's not going anywhere. I probably should have seen that earlier, but I maybe had delusions of grandeur. And around that time, you're like, well, I'd really like to play music. And I always want to be good at something. I don't want to be good at a lot of things. I want to be really good at one thing. And I already had some friends that have been playing guitar since they were 12, and they were good. I felt behind. Right? It's like starting golf in your 30s. I mean, everyone's already scratch. So I felt really behind, but I had something that I was ahead of everyone else in, and that was art. And so I was like, well, how can I, and this didn't come till I was about 25, but, the art I was good at, so I was going to run with that. And then it was when I was about 25 that there was a synergy between the two, and said, hey, this could be my contribution to rock and roll. Because rock and roll is more than just music.
Sure.
One of my other big influence is a fashion designer by the name of John Barbados, who took fashion and mixed it with rock and roll, like higher end fashion. And there was the first time I seen somebody that was a rock star. Like everything about his life was rock and roll. As much as any band I've ever seen.
Sure.
He didn't play an instrument. He made clothes.
Right.
And I was like, well, what if someone tried to do that with art? And that's kind of what I tried to achieve. I don't know if I've achieved it.
Yeah, you have. Absolutely.
But
I think like people like you, people like Goddard, there's some other artists too. Like they make art like cool, because like a lot of people think that if you're an artist, you're just like a, but like, I think art is badass. Like when I see like there's graffiti that has its own sort of like connotations and everything, and you either like it or you don't like it, but like it's awesome. Right. And then there's, I don't know, I don't really like abstract art that much. I'm just like, sometimes, again, if the title is right, then maybe. But like, I don't know, there's that attitude, I think, that comes with it that some people have, and you definitely have it for sure.
Yeah, I think there's I don't think we could look over the influence street art has had. I almost said street art. Street art has had on that being cool. Like what Banksy and them been able to do, that underground stuff, that street art, that kind of became a very cool thing. So
part of what makes him cool is that no one knows who he is, though.
Right. I mean, there's some internet sleuths that are pretty good.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
But it was cool that, didn't want the notoriety or the attention, the fame. but still some very cool stuff. There's some other great street artists as well, but that kind of, I'll say Goddard helped it along. You know, when Goddard first started, learning the story, and open to corrections, but you know, Goddard an airbrush, and he also did animation stuff. So at first, he had a little bit of trouble getting into galleries. But when he broke that door down, I like to think he broke down that door for a lot of us, because we do a type of art that isn't highbrow, right? You don't go to Chelsea, New York, and see something that I do. But he helped this. I don't know if blue collar art is the term, but you know, the first Goddard show I went to, I saw 10-year-old kids waiting in line. Yeah. You never saw that at a highbrow art show, 10-year-old kids with a favorite artist.
I feel like
that was the first time I seen that.
Yeah. I feel like those kinds of art shows, I would still go to them, but I don't know. I feel it's like you're purchasing that art not because you love it, but just because it's an investment. Yeah, and it's cool that your art can be an investment.
Sometimes it looks cool in where you want to put it.
I think it's like having an expensive car. I like cars. I'm a big fan of cars, but I don't know. I like it when someone builds like a muscle car versus someone who buys a Lamborghini. I like Lamborghinis, but I love a hand-built muscle car. Or it doesn't have to be a muscle car. It can be a tuner, whatever. Yeah. Like one of my friends, he has a Genesis, and he was like, I'm going to keep it stock, because he had a Honda Civic Si before. He's into Japanese cars and I guess Korean cars too. And he was just like, well, I'm just going to keep my new car stock. And now it is anything but stock. It's way faster now. It looks like it turns heads everywhere. I think that's so badass. And then if I see a Ferrari, I'm like, oh, there's a Ferrari. But I don't know. It's not the same. And I think the same is with art. Like when you go to I don't know, highfalutin art gallery, I'm just like, I still go in them, but I'm just like, that's cool. Yeah.
It's there's times when I paint and I have a few pieces that I think may belong in one of those galleries, as opposed to some of the ones I found most of my traction. It's few and far between, but there's a few. But it's a different world. But like I was saying, it's like Banksy made it cool, but so did Goddard. Like you know, when I first met Goddard, like he was in full rock star mode. You know, he he looked like he was in Motley Crue. So he made that cool. And there's some people that have, you know, they say, you know, rising tide floats all boats. So when he broke down that, there's a lot of us that have benefited from that. You know, more than, you know, I'm happy to admit it, but there's some people in the industry that probably aren't happy to admit that Goddard floated their career, but it's the truth. They wouldn't even be in these galleries.
So everybody knows Goddard is a really nice dude. To me, anyway.
To everybody. He's
like, I don't get why people don't like him. You hear some of the stories and you're just like, all right. I guess I don't know him like you do, but
nah, man. Yeah. Hey, every interaction I've ever had with the guy, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without those two. So yeah, you won't get a bad word out of him out of me. That's for sure.
I don't think I would believe you.
Yeah, no. And you just look what he does with charities.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a good dude. Next question here comes from Smurf M. She says, hello, Trevor, and thank you for your time on Shop Talk. What do you have on your walls, and who is your favorite artist?
Oh.
Do you ever hang any of your own art?
I only have... So I have a David Bowie over my bed. So that's one of mine. Couple of reasons. Me and Murray have our connection is heavily based around David Bowie. Our dog name is Bowie. So there's it's multi-leveled there. I have my painting of Lemmy that hangs in my studio because cool. I'm a huge Motorhead fan.
Okay,
yeah. So I have Lemmy, and I have a Keith Richards, a giant Stones fan, and what else do I have? I had a Manson. I wasn't allowed to show that when we were showing the house, so that came down early. My Maynard from Tool, which is, if you ask me what my probably favorite painting, well, it is my favorite painting.
Yeah.
I was gonna be wishy-washy about it. Now it's my favorite.
Okay.
Painting. My Maynard from Tool. Not only am I a huge fan, but that was like I'm not one of those artists that like his work a lot.
No.
And even that one, I wouldn't say that I'm in love with. But it's one of the ones that if I had to pick a favorite, it'd be that one. Yeah, I don't know if it's because I stare at them for so long, or I see mistakes, or art never ends up where the direction you wanted. Usually, it kind of if your intention is here, you usually end up somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm usually done with it by the time it leaves my house. By the time we ship it down to Las Vegas,
okay,
I'm done with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that you'll ever hear. And here's the thing: to the artists that are that comfortable with it, I don't want to diminish them by any means. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But the artists that come on there and say, look at this beautiful thing I've just done, and look at how amazing this is, God bless you. I can't do it.
Okay.
I just don't have that. I just don't feel that.
So what other, besides like your own stuff?
I don't really have anything. So I just moved out of a loft.
Okay.
And we didn't have a lot of walls. Like we have four walls. It was like a true loft. We just moved into a new house, and we don't have a lot of artwork. I do have a reproduction. One of my favorite artists is nothing like me at all, but I do have a big reproduction of Basquiat's Black Skull.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's called Black Skull. I think it's called Black Skull, but it's Basquiat. Yeah, that one we have hang up, and we have 3 pictures, photographs of Elvis in my kitchen.
Okay.
Our kitchen. But that's about it for other artists.
Okay. Good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Do you have any? You told me this before we started rolling, but she asked, "Do you have any pieces you have not been able to finish?"
Yeah. So I was telling Josh, I have almost as many canvases hit the dumpster as end up being in a gallery or published or anything like that. I'm very hard on myself. Sometimes you try to fix them, try to reimagine them. I know that you reimagine yours sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't have as much luck. So
most of the ones I reimagine are ones where my skill has
improved.
Elevated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll look at an old piece. I'm like, holy shit, that sucks.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fixable. Sometimes it's better to start from scratch. But like I said, if I've been staring at it for so long anyways, I find if you're fighting it, you're never, this is anecdotal. This is purely me. If I'm fighting it at the 50% mark, the 70% mark, no matter what I do, I'm never going to fall in love with it.
Sure.
If I fall in love with something, which like I just said a minute ago, I don't really love them by the end.
Right.
But if I love with the concept, I could say that at least. If it doesn't happen right away, then I might as well scrap it. I don't. I try to fight it sometimes. The idea is within the first 3 hours, if you sleep well, it's probably not that great. Because if I'm onto something, or I think I'm onto something, whether it does well, regardless of how it does, how it sells, if I feel like I'm onto something like in me, I won't even be able to sleep that night. Like I'll be just like.
You say sometimes in the descriptions of your Instagram pictures there that you have insomnia. Is that like actual insomnia, or it's like I need to get this shit out?
I think insomnia might be a bit heavy. Again, I wouldn't never want to diminish that term for people that have like serious insomnia.
Yeah.
I don't sleep well. I'll put it that way. But usually it's give and take, right? That's usually the middle of the night is where my concepts come up.
Okay.
So
is it just because it's like
I'm one of those people that can't turn their brain off a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
So
do you have like ADD or anything like that?
Depends who you ask. Undiagnosed, maybe. You certainly look at some of those sheets that say, or some of those symptoms type things. I certainly check a lot of boxes.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm very. I like to just say I'm very high energy.
Yeah. Okay. She asks. This is in the same vein. How long does it take on average to complete a painting?
I
imagine.
What's the term? 48 years.
Okay.
It depends. So I basically do. There's a little bit of deviation here, but I do a large size, which is usually 48 by 24 by 36 or thereabouts. Sometimes the canvas has to match the concept, so it'll change a little bit. How
long did it take you to do that? The last huge one I saw of yours, or bigger one, it was in the old gallery still. Was it?
What was it of?
Yeah. Yeah, it was in the old gallery, and it was of Elton John. How long did it take you to do that one?
That was a small one, right? Or was it the big one? I did 2 Elton Johns.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. It was big. It had like the feathers.
Yeah. I'm going to guess 40 hours. I don't work. So, I work a few hours here. I work a few hours there. I'll usually work evenings from 6 till 9. But I mean, it gets a little convoluted. Are you talking about concept? You know, that could be weeks in the making of just concept alone.
Right. So it's hard to really say.
It really is. It really is tough.
Okay. Well,
I think that's why artists always say the run-on joke of, you know, however old you are, that's how long it took you to make that painting.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? It takes that long to get your.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
She asks also. This is still Smurf M. If you weren't an artist, what do you think you'd be doing?
Oh, I still do other stuff as well. Like I said, I got. I'm also involved in heavy industry sales. I do that as well.
Like you sell equipment, or
without getting too much into it, more or less.
Okay.
So
if you weren't, you would be just doing that. That's not as cool. I mean, you might be really good at it, but it's not as cool.
It's not as cool. I don't know. Both me and Ray, we really like fashion. Yeah,
it looks like it. I feel out of place. I mean, I have your shirt on, so.
I think that's the best looking thing here. No, it might be something in that realm. I like cars like you. I'm not good at fixing them, but I've got a little bit of interest, but nothing that takes the majority of my time. Yeah, I like a few different income streams, so you gotta do some things.
Yeah, same here. But I do art as much as I can because I love it.
Well, here's the thing: is idle hands. I don't know. The market can only bear so much art, like up from a certain artist, before it gets just flesh. So, you know, you'll notice most artists will come out with once a, maybe 12 a year, once a month, maybe. Yeah. That's as much as you want. So if it takes me 40 hours to do a painting or 30 hours to do a painting, that's a week. Mm-hmm. A week of a month. I would get myself into so much trouble with 3 weeks of being idle or 3 weeks of doing nothing. Yeah, I gotta do something else to keep me busy.
Yeah, that makes sense. You do release a few paintings at a time sometimes, though, right?
Yeah.
Is that just a publishing thing?
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of overlap.
Because I remember you unveiled the. I don't.
Usually it's for a show. Like if I have a show coming up, just to make it a little bit more fun, make it a little more interesting. Sometimes I like to unveil a couple brand new pieces that nobody's ever seen before. So they're originals. They're before they're published. They're before they're on the website. Before they're on social media. Kind of like nobody's seen these except for the people that showed up that night. So that's where you'll see 2 or 3 at the same time. Okay. I am currently looking at doing one that I think I'll release. It's a little mini series. I did a Motley Crue mini series of 4 paintings, and I did a Rolling Stones mini series of 4 paintings. I have someone else in mind I'm conceptualizing to do another 4, and I think those other ones I did them periodically. I think these ones we'll do all 4.
Okay.
And then just roll the releases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her last question is probably the most important question of them all. Do you like banana bread?
I absolutely love banana bread.
Okay. Now here's
Now,
to see if
that means every art show, I just want tons of banana bread.
That's what we're gonna have at my first art show.
Just load them up.
Yeah. She asked, nuts or no nuts?
Oh, I like them with nuts in them.
Oh, dude.
You don't?
I hate them with nuts, dude. Chocolate chips, though. Okay, well, we're not exactly on the same page, but banana bread is good. If the only banana bread is banana bread with nuts, I'll still eat it.
I went a few years without being able to eat bananas with my kidney issues. So when I was finally able to eat them again, it was like Christmas. Every day was like Christmas. So yeah, bring on the banana bread. Yeah,
I love banana bread. I feel like
rock stars get underwear throwing at them. I'm happy with banana bread being thrown at me. Just show up at the show and just throw me banana bread.
That's hilarious. So guys, if you go to one of his shows, which you show all over North America, right?
Yeah, I think so we just did the one in Edmonton. I booked Toronto next September, which is a year from now. But
which gallery are you in Toronto?
List Gallery.
Oh, List.
Yeah,
okay.
Brian List is amazing. They do it a little bit different there. It's not like the type of gallery here. They do like a feature artist.
Yeah.
So do an opening reception, a feature artist.
I've heard of them probably through you, so I follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, he's a really great guy to work with. So we're gonna do that next September. I'm thinking about doing I've got a concept in mind that might lead to an entirely other, like a 4th portfolio.
Oh, okay.
It's
going to be an R again.
I don't know. Okay.
I like the concept.
The marketing communications person will think of that. But I haven't done one yet. But it's a new look on what I do. So I'm not getting away from the music and the rock star stuff. But it's a concept that came up with it. What I try to do sometimes is look for something that I don't think has been done before. I know people might look at one of my paintings and say, well, Jimi Hendrix, a lot of people done Jimi Hendrix, but it's kind of a little bit more multi-layered than that. So I do a lot of the faux duct tape on my paintings. Yeah. So that type of stuff was, you're always looking for something like, what can kind of set me, something I haven't seen. Mm-hmm. So the duct tape, which I really like doing.
Sweet concept. I like how you got like the wrinkles in it. Like,
you try to do it as
putting tape on.
Yeah. Well, because I like to keep things a little bit raw and gritty. That's kind of my style, right?
Dope. So I like the concept of like the very realistic, gritty backgrounds. I like the photographs that you have on. Yeah. Your Marilyn Manson one is super dope with Marilyn Monroe and. Yeah. So
I'm hoping this new concept, which is just a different, and I don't think I've seen it before. I could be wrong. There's a lot of artists up there, but if it works out, I think what we might do is do a run of them and maybe do like an unveil at the List show. I don't know. I'm still playing around with that in my head, but
you're going to be ready that soon. You said September.
Next September.
Oh,
I got a year. Yeah, I got a year. Okay. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, when you put something on that whiteboard, things jump in front of it all the time. So
right,
we'll see. And you always have commissions that come up, which
right.
What you got to do, right?
What time are we at? 48 minutes. We're on the last couple questions here. Sure. So these are from Miss B. She says, Trevor, congratulations on your recent 1 year kidneyversary.
Thank you.
She loves the inspiration behind the Black Roses piece. That was one of your newer ones. That was pretty sweet.
Thank you.
She's asking, where do you sell your prints? So that would be in your gallery.
Yeah, you know what? There's on my website, there's a link to all the dealers. So there's 10, 11. There's a handful of dealers. I don't know where you're from, but yeah, they're all there. Now, not every. It's important to notice that not every gallery on there will have stuff on the wall or have it on the. but all of them can sell it. So whatever's near you, if you get a hold of that gallery and say, hey, this is the
And then
the
tell
artist
them
and
to
this
put
is-
it on the wall.
yeah, do me the favor.
Be like, hey,
but yeah, they
I heard
all have
Stickman's here.
access.
Where
to
is
it.
he? Come on, like, let's do this.
All these galleries have access to the entire line. If not think of speaking at a school, I believe every one of them ships worldwide. So they all do amazing. So they definitely all have the access.
Okay, so
And thank you for liking the black roses. It was definitely a different direction for me, and I really appreciate the 1 year kidney thing. Just off camera, here's the girl who saved me. So
really, what happened? What really? You did?
She gave me the kidney.
What? Dude,
Yeah.
that's sick.
Yeah, she did. She saves me in every way possible. So
Okay.
yeah, I get a little teary eyed if we talk about it too much. So, but yeah, she's the one stepped up, gave me the kidney, and
That's awesome.
yeah, it is.
She's like, yeah.
She just wanted her life back. You know, she was sick of driving me to dialysis 3 times a week, and wanted
So
to
you were
travel again.
on the list waiting for.
No, so when my kidney failed, it completely failed. So I had to go on dialysis. So it takes the workup for a kidney transplant. We did it extremely quick. We were very aggressive, and it still took us 11 months. So you got to do a ton of tests. And then once you get cleared of everything, both of us, like I got to be cleared of certain things, she's got to be cleared. Then you go on the waiting list. So in that, we were really quick, and it was 11 months.
Okay. So wait, did you know you were going to do it the whole time?
I didn't know if I'd be a match, but yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know if she'd be a match. My brother stepped up. He's an older brother of mine. He couldn't do it.
Heavy
And so-
drinker.
No, he's actually not.
No.
The girl with a glass of wine over. No. So like even a high blood pressure can stop you from doing it. So
Okay.
my brother's healthy. He just a little bit high blood pressure.
Okay.
So from him, they went right to her, and we just moved forward with her, which is fine by me because she's a lot younger than me. So I think that my average age has come down. Is what I tell people. It's like, I'm a little bit younger because I have younger organs.
Yeah. Why
I'm also part Lebanese now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I guess I can see it now. Yeah. Lost my spot here. Have you? Oh, here's a good question. Have you ever met any of the people you paint, and if so, what was the most memorable meeting?
I haven't really met a lot of them. Like a lot of them will know who I am. We have definite, like 1 degree of separation, friends of friends.
Sure.
We met it was kind of funny today. I was, what's that?
John 5 did that?
Yeah, we met John 5. I painted him. There's some people that you're just like, at a party with,
Sure.
and you'll be like,
So
well,
they're
I painted.
around.
They're, be at a party. Like, it's weird to say, oh, by the way, I painted you.
They'll be like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we like to go to Los Angeles a lot. So we end up, running into, but we don't.
You're not like,
Like, we don't
hey,
sit
I'm
there-
the guy. If you ever saw
Yeah.
that picture, that was me.
Yeah.
You're just-
We've met some cool people. Like,
You run into them, but they don't know.
usually they end up being a little like other artists as well. We had a really great meeting with Bernie Taupin. He was super cool because he's an artist as well, and we have some similar friends in the business. Yeah, sometimes it's a weird life sometimes, but yeah, I haven't gone and hung out with Nikki Sixx. No.
No. Do you know if any of them own portraits of themselves by you?
DJ Ashba has my DJ Ashba.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I really like that one. I also like your Jack White one. Or wait, did you do Jack White?
Yeah, I did Jack White with a kind of an orangey background.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait, maybe that wasn't you. Maybe
That's one of the ones that turned on me.
Really?
Yeah. As soon as we kind of published it, I don't know. I just wish conceptually I did something a little different, but you can't reel them back.
Okay. Winding down here. I forgot to include this. Do any of your family members own your art?
Yeah, it's funny. So my parents, my dad's, they're mid-70s. And if you walk in their house, they have like, I'm sure my dad might. They got a giant Jimi Hendrix,
Okay.
like huge Jimi Hendrix that nobody saw the light of day. I didn't publish it. It's one of the ones I did and didn't like it.
You didn't like it.
I was trying to throw it away.
And they're like, well, what?
No, they didn't. We fought because I had it in a dumpster. I was cleaning up, and they were like trying to grab it, and I was like, no, because I don't want these things to see the light of day.
100%.
They fought me
if I ever saw any of your art in the dumpster, I would take it.
And my brother has I think my brother has an old James Hetfield that never saw the light of day as well. So I think he's got that because I think he had like a serviceman or something come in one day, and he saw the painting and said something like, "That looks like a Stickman." He's like, "That is a Stickman. He's my brother."
Oh.
So I think he's still got that one. Whether I'm assuming he still got it. Yeah. Other than that, it's kind of weird. Like, it's having a publisher. It's tough, like to give your family art. Like,
right, because
it's someone else's business. You can't just say, "Hey, send me stuff." He would. Don't get me wrong, but it's you're taking out of other people's pockets. Gets a little weird sometimes.
Yeah. You actually just posted about this today, I think. She asked this on August 13th, but what are you looking forward to most in the new studio? So you're building out your new studio. Is that at your home or is that a place people visit?
So like we bought a spec home. We designed the entire basement to be a studio. So we put in some sinks that are very will be very handy. Where we placed everything is just very natural. So it's. But
dude,
what I like,
wish I had a sink in here because I finger paint.
Yeah, you would need that for what you do. Yeah, so we've got like cleaning basins and sinks.
Sure.
So that's going to be handy. It's going to be super close. But the best feature is we're putting in a wine cellar. So we're gonna have the beer fridge and the wine cellar. I like to drink wine when I paint. So they'll have a wine cellar. That'll be the coolest part of the studio.
That is cool.
What I will do is when the studio's done, I think I'm doing I posted one today. I'll do, and then I'll probably just do a tour of the studio and we'll get things going. But that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Proximity to the sink, wine cellar. There we go.
Why the heck not? Okay. And then her last question here: how often do you travel for art shows? Do you travel alone or with others?
It depends. So I'd say pre-pandemic, I was doing 3 or 4 a year. I wasn't doing crazy amount. 3, 4, something like 5 maybe, somewhere between 3 and 5. It depends where the show is. When I do a Vegas show, your friends all want to go, so I can roll with just Murray sometimes, and sometimes I'll have 10 people just because
it's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Yeah.
They're going to come. Even we did a couple in LA, and I think we even had some decent turnout there. The fun places people go.
Yeah.
The same people won't come to Edmonton show though, because they're like,
it's Edmonton.
These are guys I grew up with or whatever. They're like, I ain't going to. I don't go for the art, which I don't blame them one bit.
Not even Calgary people will go to Edmonton.
Calgary. Well, Murray's from Calgary, so actually, my last Calgary show was probably 4 years ago, but it had a bigger turnout than Edmonton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really good, and the sales were good. It was. Now with Edmonton, we did a lot before then. In Calgary, we've only done a few, so a little bit more pent up demand.
Okay.
But it was really good. So we're looking forward to get back into the Calgary market. And I think that's talking to one gallery owner. I think that's something that's might be coming up. A mutual friend of ours. So I'm hoping that is in the cards because it's a good market.
I have a question myself then.
Sure.
So you're from Edmonton, or at least you live here.
Yeah.
When I don't know how people would describe you as a salesperson talking about your artwork, but like for me, I get kind of bummed out when people say, oh, this is Josh's work. He's a local artist.
Yeah.
I just like, because that makes it sound like
It diminishes it.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can, and it depends on the gallery. They can like help you with that title sometimes just by giving you some support. I think Sharon's great with that. But it can be diminishing. I was selling, the previous owner of the gallery here in Edmonton, I was selling all over the world, and I was doing really good shows in big cities.
Yeah.
And I always had a tough time. My artwork would always be on the floor.
Yeah.
It was never on the wall. And I knew, we knew people that worked at the galleries, and it was outselling some of the stuff that was on the wall. And I was always perplexed by this. I'm like, I'm outselling some of these people, and yet I'm always on the floor. And then when you get down to it, it's that some people just view you as a local artist. I'm like, but I'm not even published. I'm published in Las Vegas. I'm not even, like, my artwork doesn't even,
home gallery.
I painted here, and then like it ships. You do interviews sometimes, and people regard you as a Vegas artist. I'm not. I'm Edmonton, born, bred, proud. But everything stems from Vegas. If you want to order a piece of my artwork, it comes from Vegas. So I don't. Yeah, it bothers me a little bit as well. It can diminish you.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm just like, you can say I'm from here, but don't use the term local artist.
We don't need the adjective.
Just make it, by the way, he's from here. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, we don't need the adjective.
Yeah. I realized she asked one more question. We'll end on this. Have you designed any of your tattoos, and will you be getting any new tattoos? You have more since I last saw you.
Yeah. Have I designed it? Yeah, I have I've got a lizard skeleton going down my rib cage with a crown on it because I'm a huge Jim Morrison fan. So I have a Lizard King. I shouldn't say I'm a huge Jim Morrison fan. I'm a huge Doors fan.
Okay.
So I have a Lizard King.
I get that.
I designed that one, but most of them I don't. I love tattoo artists. So my brother-in-law, sister-in-law are tattoo artists. I don't like it when someone, like like I said earlier, I get to say no a lot now. But before, when I couldn't say no, when people just wanted you to just create what they've already created, I like to give a tattoo artist the ability to be an artist.
Yeah, so you're like,
this is what I want.
This is the concept.
Yeah, sometimes I'll bring pictures in, like from Google or something like that, but let them draw it up. I let them do their thing,
Sweet, I like that. Is there anything that you would like to add? Go to his shows. If his art is not on the wall,
and
be like, hey, I heard, where is it?
Come to the shows. We try to have a lot of fun. It's probably less talking about art and way more talking about music than you'd think. Like everything I do is based on music. And the best part of an art show for me is when a collector comes up, or a new collector, or not even a collector, someone that just came and says, I just like your work. I just, can't afford it at the time. I love it when they say, I love this piece. I saw him in '88. And then they tell me about the concert. They tell me about that. And we just sit there, and then, I'm a little bit of a rock historian. So then you just say, hey, do you know that this happened? And they come back and they know some stories. And that's the best part of it. Just talking. You probably talking shop, but it's more about talking music. Yeah.
You probably have a lot of biographies and autobiographies, huh?
God, I can't think of one I haven't read. As soon as one comes out, if it's a rock biography, like I'll have it the first week it comes out. I read every one of them. Yeah. It's one I take a lot of my inspirations from. Yeah. I
have Slash, and I have
great one.
Where is it? Maybe over there somewhere. I have Travis Barker's.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Travis Barker, and I'm a big fan of Slash.
Well, the good news is Travis Barker is everywhere these days.
Yeah,
he's you can't turn on the TV. I'm not complaining. I like Travis. So, but yeah, you can't turn on the TV without seeing Travis. So,
would you paint him?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I say I have the ability to say no now, but there's some people that I'm just looking for the excuse. You get this long queue. A couple things I like to paint. Number one, a musician is great, of course.
Yeah.
I love to paint unique looking people. One of the reasons I like painting Ashba, Motley Crue, These guys are very unique, right? A little bit of makeup, crazy style. The Manson is my favorite guy to paint just because he's so out there. Like the more uniqueness in your look, the more fun you are to paint. Like Kiss is a blast to paint. The painting I struggled with most of my entire life is I don't even have it on my website because it's one of the ones that turn on me, was Bon Jovi. Because Attractive Man just was so plain looking. I just couldn't get anything out of it. I couldn't get any emotion out of it. I was just like, I don't know, it was like painting a frat boy. It was really weird. It was tough, right? Whereas you paint Steven Tyler, there's so much character in his face that, you know, although he's got a flip side, he's got so much character in his face, that's tough to make him look real. Every time I paint Steven Tyler, he's so comic booky. I don't even know if that's a word. But every time you paint him, you're like, it doesn't, you know, your reference material, you nailed it, but he's just like, his proportions is off. His mouth is just, and I love Steve. I'm a massive Aerosmith fan. So
you've done a couple of him, right?
Yeah, I probably won't be finished. I just love Aerosmith. I mean, who doesn't? Yeah. So
I agree.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm booking my next show around an Aerosmith concert. I get to do that sometimes too, which is kind of nice when you're going to go somewhere and you kind of get that little bit of flexibility. So I think our next fall show will be, I think it's going to be Vegas.
So if you're around Vegas, or even if you're not, go.
Follow me on socials because we don't know a date yet. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I've talked to the gallery yet. I think I just told them sometime in the fall. So I think that's where we're at. But we'll probably book it around the Aerosmith residency. You got to kill two birds with one stone, I guess.
Sure, yeah, why not? So guys, his information is going to be linked in the description for his Instagram and his website. If you're interested in buying any of his work, click one of those links there, find his website, get a gallery that's close to you, buy lots.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Until next time. And I promise there still is another vlog coming out. I've been saying that a lot, but it is.
That was awesome.